Okay, we are live.
Welcome everybody, in person, online, to the April regular meeting of the Arlington Board of Education. Tonight's meeting is being held in compliance with the Nebraska Opens Act, copy posted in the room. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. and take roll.
Shannon Wilmot. Here. Janet Warner. Here. Bruce Shear.
Here.
Matt O'Daniel.
Here.
Chase Credible.
Here.
And Jason Arp.
Here. Very good. We have a quorum, and let's say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on the agenda is item 1.4, which is the approval of this evening's agenda. We have a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Janet and Chase. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Let's vote, please.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Jason Arp.
Yes.
Chase Credible.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Bruce Shear.
Yes.
Janet Warner.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. The second item on our agenda this evening is public forum. Is there anybody in the room that wishes to speak to the board? This is the appropriate time. There's a sign-in, say that twice, it's a sign-in sheet at the table. Seeing none, we will move forward into our consent agenda. We have, of course, previous minutes of the previous board meeting, financial reports, and there's a resignation in there. Dr. Lewis, is there anything that you want to comment on or touch on?
Just that there are two board meeting minutes on there from the regular meeting and from the special meeting, so there's two to review there.
Got it.
And if anybody has any questions in particular about the financial reports, I would go ahead and answer those. But
I know we talked about the concession stand, and I just, Mr. Shader, are you kind of like the in-charge guy of the concession stand?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought maybe that you were. It's been in the red since the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
and is there a reason for that?
we made some pretty good ground. this
We
month.
were, I believe, my sheet's on the back desk, I think we were at -4 and now we're at -1, I believe, and like,
We're making ground.
is that right?
So, yep.
So
Well,
we-
almost 2, but yes, we're
Yeah,
gaining
so
some
we
ground.
cut that in half this year by raising those prices by $1 on a pop and things like that, and a couple other items. We didn't want to double down and really hammer our, I don't know, guests and friends from our neighborhood, so that's where it's at, yeah. It's
Okay,
gonna
so
take a while.
I know that when I was teaching and we took tickets to the game, we would get like a free pop and popcorn.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of that? Is there a lot of people that get free food?
We maybe give the officials like a hot dog at the game if there's someone.
But that's all?
Because the
I have a
ticket
ticket
takers
for our
are paid.
coaches that work the game, so they get something that since they're there all night. I don't know. I think that's it. The umpires, or I guess umpires, I'm thinking baseball at the
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
umpires and officials.
Officials, yeah.
I just wondered if that had something to do with it.
I wouldn't
I
say
mean,
we give a
shouldn't-
gross amount of things away. I don't know. Sometimes I throw an extra ring pop out to a really cute little kid that's standing there if they want something, to be honest with you, but outside of that, not too much. Yeah.
I think we started the year a little deeper than normal just because of COVID.
Mhm.
We had to buy supplies and there weren't that many people that attended games this year and things like that. But we're getting some ground, so that's good. It's come down since last month even. I'm assuming we're about done purchasing for concessions and we have baseball games and our track meet yet, so those will be big ones too.
Yeah.
So,
Revenue, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? None? All right. We have a resignation letter on here from Mr. Googles. I'm sure everybody has read that
Yeah.
as well.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
And then we have some new hires and been some conversations about attaching their resumes versus non-attaching the resumes. If you would like to see the resumes, you can certainly stop in, but there's a lot of typically identifiable information on the resumes, so putting them out there seems unwise. I've been blacking them out the past couple of months, but if anyone on the board would like to see the resumes of people that we've hired. But we have CN Stegman for elementary special education, Liz Petty for elementary guidance, Cassandra Rowland for junior high school science and health, Nicole Kern for high school science, and Landon Walkenhorst for grades 5th and 6th in a classroom.
I did want to say something just with Mr. Google's resigning here. I was fortunate enough to have Coach Googles to me as history and football and track coach. And with him leaving, it almost seems like there's just very few people that I've had that are left at the school. But there's always misconceptions, I think, about coaches and their priorities. And I wanted to kind of bring something up that Coach Googles would always say Thursdays after we did walkthrough pregame. You always make sure you take care of everything in your household and take care of your family first. And then he'd always go next, take care of your studies, you're a student before an athlete, and then focus on your athletics. And there's always misconception with coaches sometimes prioritizing athletics over academics. And I just wanted to say, I thought it was always resonated good when Coach Googles would kind of say that every week, that make sure you take care of everything at your household and with your family going on, and then your studies. So I thought his priorities were where they should be. And I just wanted to say that, and I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what the future holds for him, but it's going to be, it's going to feel different. It's definitely going to
Yeah.
feel different with him on.
Yeah.
Okay, we had his letter of resignation, but we've had Mr. Butcher, is that right?
Yes,
Butcher?
he did not write a letter of resignation to us. I did not have that one.
Mrs. Horner, did we publish that last month?
I think they were on there last month. I have to go back and take a look because they were received
think so.
earlier.
Hmm?
They were received earlier than Mr. Google's. So.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote, please.
Chase Crandall,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Bruce Shear,
Yes.
Janet Warner,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmer, Jason Mark.
Yes. All right, very good. Motion carries. That moves us right into our curriculum reports. We have science this evening. Sir, the floor is all yours.
Everybody has a copy.
Yep,
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
And it's sort of, it's a little bit wordy. I don't know if you either word for word, but,
No, you don't have to read it to us word for word.
you know, so I asked some of the teachers, highlight on this year, and, from the middle school, they're, it's, Mrs. Horner said it's the room remodel went well, and things are going smoother this year than it did last year because of COVID thing, and, she's been using Amplify and as a base, and it's a good base, but she's been supplementing some material with that. And then I mentioned at the high school, it's been nice to see our lab area has been used a lot at the high school with the junior high kids in Mr. Fuscher's class, and then he's been pushing kids out there. So it's nice seeing us use the facilities. Me personally, I've been able to get through more curriculum this year than last year, and that's been good, and it's been a fun process. And then Mr. Fuscher mentioned that he's been using it to work in more labs with the STEM classes, and then he's had a couple of speakers come in. So we just started talking about celebrating successes that were happening up there. So it's been a dynamic thing, and the kids are actively learning in the high school science area. So it's been a good year so far. Cross your fingers. If there's any questions, I can handle.
Does everybody know Mr. Command?
I am Mr. Command. I teach physical science. This is my second year here. Physical science, chemistry, and physics. So it's been definitely been a good second year here. Yeah, the first year is a little bit stressful.
Oh, first COVID years.
Yeah, but it's been a good year. So
Getting through more curriculum, you mentioned that this year. Is that due to the lack of COVID distractions?
I think
familiarity
it's,
with
I would say about
curriculum,
3/4 of that, and then
Okay.
a quarter just getting through it, be teaching it, as a teacher.
Right.
Second time through. Third year is always a sweet spot, you know, doing it. But this year's been surprising, and, I think it feels like, in a couple of my classes, the kids' attentions are better, and it's just, there's a better focus, so I can go farther. I don't have to constantly reteach stuff as
Yeah.
we did last year. So that's been a nice thing, so. Yeah, I'm about 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where I was last year at this time. Of course, we're having spring break, with the Easter break, that's gonna get us back in a couple weeks ahead, so it's a good deal.
Yeah.
So which room are you in?
I'm in the far one, well, no, that's Mr. Flusher's room. I'm right in as you come in, 229, right at the second one as you come in. So, yeah. I'm the one who has the brick wall for, it's not, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everybody in the department for preparing this for us. Does anybody have any other questions for Mr. Clement? Thanks for being here, sir.
So you bet.
We appreciate you. Appreciate everybody.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Anything else? I was gonna do a dog and pony show, but I left. My wife just wore a tie, so.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, have a good evening. All right, so that moves us right down into our principals reports. There's always a lot going on with these guys. Mr. Shady, you were on top of the list this month.
We got
See
the
ya.
best for last.
Doing great.
Yeah. So. Geez, you can't win with this league. I don't know, I have an official time for that athletic banquet, but it is the first. I think the district club, we meet this Wednesday night, so they'll get that hammered out and sent out to parents. So that's always a great culminating end of the year banquet there. You have your winter academic all-state awards there. I think it's on page 2 where it floated. Kobe Griffey and Barrett Nielsen, Haley Brandon, Kate Miller, and Speech Dylan Kim. So those are the students that qualified this winter. So Chase, you made a good point there. We emphasize student first and work really hard at that. I appreciate you bringing that up about Coach Google. He's kind of laid a framework for us younger guys. I fall in that group to follow. He's a good mentor. So we're proud of those students and on all of our winter athletes and their time and efforts. It's not easy going to multiple ball games during the week or invites and staying up on your exams and stuff like that. So we just had FFA and skills last week. FFA at the beginning of the week and skills at the end. So that was a big week for state. Some great awards, and Miss Agner has it on their Facebook, all of their multiple great accomplishments there. FBLA has left this morning, and they're in Kearney for their conference, which is the first time it's in Kearney. So I think that's a good idea to move it to different parts of the state, closer for some schools. Concerts are there. You see those. The district music concert competition next week is big for them. Honors night, welcome you to be there. Name Mr. Pinkston touches more on that later, but that's coming up in a couple weeks. As you know, you guys approved the switching of the track meets, so those are there. Those look a little different. And we have a golf invite too, so for the weather's nice for that. So, boy,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to write those things in there, but it's pretty quick and happening here too. So, if you want to work the track meets coming up in May, holler at us. We can have you return some shots or discuses or break a sand pit. So,
I think moving hurdles.
moving hurdles would be a great job. So,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shada. Any questions for James before we move on? No? Mrs. Morgan, what's going on down in the elementary school?
Well, I kick off with the really exciting NSCA testing. So we have completed science, 5th grade science NSCA testing happened last week. We have reading for 3rd through 6th starting this week. And then next week we have math. So we're excited having great conversations about that good stuff. Really the fun stuff, we did some pizza fractions in 2nd grade. So their classroom became a pizzeria and they went around and took orders from staff members and created their fraction pizzas and delivered them. It was pretty awesome. And Mrs. Cal becomes, oh gosh, what is her name? Frida Fraction, and she comes in and talks with Ag. It's pretty funny. it's good, if this teaching gig doesn't work out, she could be a performer, so it's up there. And then, 5th grade, we welcome them, to Ellis Island as they work on some heritage projects, and work through that process. And, Dr. Lewis and I were, blessed with being able to accept or not accept them into the country, so we got to do some questioning, which is pretty fun. Pass or fail, and it's pretty
pass
fun.
judgment also.
Yeah, pretty funny,
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
fun journey for them. So, we just finished up with that. So.
That was so much fun.
You were tough on
Yes, I was. I'm trying to.
Dr. Lewis is
method
very
actor.
serious. I just start laughing.
Well, I'm fine until she starts laughing across the room and she's like, did you just say that? I'm like, I did.
They did a nice job. The kids did a nice job. The teachers did a great job preparing them.
And I think Mrs. Reed said nobody cried this year.
Nobody cried this year.
I did last year. I saw that. She went and hid underneath the.
A lot of pressure when you're coming into the country.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not quite as hard on them as the actual
Yeah.
inspectors were back in the days of entering.
Do that for a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have very little patience.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Any questions for Becky? Move on to the high school. Mr. Pinkston,
That's good.
what do you got for us?
We will find out together.
Right. I haven't seen this yet either. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have prom coming up. There'll be prom up here, and then at Two Rivers Bank Arena is post-prom. I just want to put on here, thanks to parents, business, community members, teachers, everybody who's involved in creating a safe evening for our students. It's always fun to see them dressed up and have a place to go afterwards. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on. So
Yeah.
for those people, I want to give them a shout out. Testing calendar is on there. That's what's going on. We had our ACT test April 5th. Just as a FYI, we used the new classrooms for that, so that was nice to have a area to go and not have to figure it out as we move forward with rooms, but some different requirements for size of tables and stuff like that. So we were able to spread out and make it happen. So we have all that going on. Fundraiser wanted to support the local Roots to Wings business. So teachers were able to wear Be Kind shirts and wear jeans and support the cause. So we were able to donate over $500 to Roots to Wings. We have a pretty good connection with them in a variety of things that we do, especially as they and we try to impact our students who are farmers there. So good connection there with them. Mr. Shader alluded to the state leadership conferences. We'll get you some information or check the social media posts about how our students do there. On a side note, I had a niece win the culinary thing for Waverly. Yeah, so yeah.
What'd she make?
Some chicken something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chicken something.
She had her medal and that was it.
If I were you, I'd have a good time.
I know, that's what I said. I put my order in. But it's fun. I had the chance to go to FFA. The weather was terrible, so that kind of experience to, it's usually they're out there and
Yeah.
socializing, whatever else with all the, students from around the state. And it was kind of dampened by the weather. But a lot of people who are involved in all of those things, whether it's people donating materials for skills type of stuff or time or financial support or whatever else, we certainly appreciate all that from our local area. And then some student awards. There's a picture of Midland outstanding leaders who were recognized. I guess I didn't do them in the order there. Kind of maybe not even reverse order. Luke's on the end, then Trevor's at the front, and then Kirsten's between them. So that's a good deal. Midland still does that. They like to have recognized area students. I think it's still $25,000 renewable up to 4 years. If a student who's distinguished as an outstanding leader goes to Midland, they can have a $25,000 scholarship that's renewable up to 4 years. to help with tuition. So it's a good deal that way. They still charge you a lot of tuition, so I'm not saying it covers it, but it's a good deal, and it's a good recognition for those ladies and gentlemen. Some other fun things, we had our FFA week, kind of highlighted there with, we had tractor day, so it's always, I mean, it's a fun deal. We were able to pull one over by the cafeteria and had some of our students who, kind of get excited about, I think third grade went out there, and a couple of our other students who get excited about, large equipment to be out there, so.
Arts brought all their tractors.
They did, they had the whole lineup, I tell you what. They parked them on the football field, but that's okay.
Maybe more kids, Jason, yeah, find a tractor.
If you missed it, the disaster was a disaster, and it was awesome. It was awesome. The kids had so much fun with the musical. So, and the amount of time, I know Mr. Shady alluded to it, during winter sports and stuff. You get to the winter sports, you get to, you got your academics are there. You got if you're involved in the musical, and you've got, you're an FFA, FBLA skills. I mean, the time that the kids put in it is to be commended, in the staff that pours into these kids. It's amazing. And then wanted to publicly say thanks to Boyd Jones. We had a good connection with, especially our the site supervisor here, and the ladies and gentlemen who worked over the course of, and we still have them here a little bit, but they made an impact on kids here too. So it was a good experience that we had, at least. And some connections made there. So anyway, wanted to publicly thank them. So we were able to thank them, privately. So lots of good things going there. We got some good news coming for next meeting, some recognition and stuff with students that we haven't seen for a little while. So, or maybe ever be recognized for a couple different things. So we got some things coming that way. So more on the horizon. One thing that's not on there, maybe I should let you know, Metro, because we have so many, now I won't say it right now. Kickstart classes, the On to College. We have a representative from Metro coming here. Right now it's once a week. It could be once every 2 weeks as we get going, who is basically a connection between us and them, who, because we have so many dual enrolled students, will help us with registration, will help us with grade checks, will help us with those type of things as we get keep this going, because we do have so many, especially seniors, who are taking advantage of the dual enrolled courses that are taught by our Metro friends. So got some good things going that way, good connections going that way. So
Good, yeah, lots going on, thank you.
Coming back, Mr. Shea reminded me, I was reading in the World Herald that they were looking into one of the players that hit 10 RBIs in one game. Was that a record? Because I know they were checking state records.
So my understanding, it's a Class B record for
Okay.
Trevor was in the maroon tie.
That's what it reminded me of. Okay.
Yeah.
I just hadn't heard if it was confirmed or anything.
To my understanding, it's
Okay.
So the way that, as long as we as a school confirm that it wasn't 9 and an error or something like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Any questions for Mr. Figston before we move on? None, thank you, sir. Takes us right into our superintendent's report. Dr. Lewis, you have the floor.
All right, so legislatively, there are 3 days left in the session, so, which means it's the scramble for final readings, select files, trying to get things passed. So we're kind of pushing through to the end. There's a few that are on final reading or select file, which means there's possibility that there's a few that have been passed and signed already with emergency clauses and things like that. But probably the one that the education world and organizations are watching the most closely is LB 1218, which is right now still sitting on general file, but this is changes to teacher certification and student loan forgiveness dollars for teachers. So it would have an alternative route to certification than passing the praxis, which is, or like having a particular score in the praxis. which is, it can hinder some from becoming teachers at times, or if you're coming from a different state that does not require the praxis, it would allow, like 3 years of teaching experience to kind of take the place of that praxis, if I'm understanding it correctly, and then it embedded the student loan forgiveness in there. Right now in general file, which means it's gonna move to select file, but it's the education committee priority bill, so there's a possibility that we can get that through yet, which would be really good. Some things that have already kind of gone through, there was a little change to the public retirement system, and our senator got a emergency clause signed in, which was the vaccine exemption for certain organizations. Looking at final readings on possibly LB 908 and virtual conferencing under the Open Meetings Act, which you recall was allowable when we were still under a declaration emergency, but is no longer allowed. I mean, we can broadcast and board members can attend virtually, but they can't vote if they're virtual. So, and then the parental involvement, change the parental involvement policy. It's currently on general file yet, but it is a priority bill also. So there's a possibility that would, and we already have parental involvement policies. What was hanging this one up was they would start penalizing and withholding like state aid and things like that if a parent said that they had made the proper request and they didn't get access to the materials, which we have parents that come in and examine materials and access and request things, you know, not frequently, but we do that in a timely manner, really
Sure.
efficiently. So they would have to fill out forms now, and we'd have to have sign in dates, whereas now we can just kind of invite
Just
them
help
in.
them, yeah.
Yeah, so it would change some, not sure if that will make it all the way through yet. LB 742 is on final reading, which should be making electronic records legal now, the legal representatives for the Open Meetings Act. So right now we have to keep records and board minutes and things. We still have to keep them in paper for a certain amount of years. This would mean that our electronic records would be the legal, right? And we're also looking at LB 852, which was a Senator Wallace priority, behavioral health points of contact identified in your school. So that's becoming a huge priority for a lot of schools. And that is on final reading as well. One thing I was going to say, we mentioned, a couple months back about LR 264, which would have had to be put to a vote of the people as a constitutional amendment. It did fail to advance. So that would have been the one that would have prohibited all taxes except for sales and excise taxes. So they would have had to completely review the tax structure and figure out how to pay for everything if all they were going to rely on the sales tax. So, but the notes that I had today from our legislative lobbyist said that one failed to advance. So it will not be on the ballot in November. Right. So that is what I have of significance for the legislative update. Construction update. We are probably a week or so away from sidewalks. Mark and I have an appointment to visit with the village about repair of the street and how we want to do that. Where they access the most, the curb is kind of down, and the street or the village delayed like the blacktop on that because so we're just going to meet with them on the 18th, I believe, and visit with them about our responsibility, the village's responsibility, who wants to do what, and where we're at with that.
I'm gonna leave that piece of sidewalk that's all cracked and.
No, we're getting it. It's all going to be repaired.
Okay.
Yep, everything is going to be repaired before it's all said and done. So the rest of the new sidewalk should be poured, and the repairs will begin on that as soon as they can, as soon as they get all the grading done and everything like that. But no, they will not leave
I didn't
anything
think they
broken.
would. They're not that kind of company.
No, they would not leave anything broken or messy for us. So,
But they did fix it nicely for now. I mean, it's,
for now,
yeah.
But yeah, no, and it's going to, everything that was damaged in the process will be repaired and the new sidewalks will be poured. So hopefully within a week or two, we're walking on those. We're right. Walking in the mornings on sidewalks.
That sounds good.
We do plan on transitioning classes out there over the summer. Right now, we are still, we do not have our wireless ports or access points out there. So that kind of, you know, the reach is only so far. So it kind of limits what we can do out there yet. But the plan is to pay for those with the E-rate reduced purchases, but those can't be made until the summer after the E-rate approval. You know, we're already approved, but you still can't purchase until a certain point in time in the summer. So transitioning out there right now doesn't do you an awful lot of good.
Yeah.
So, we have talked through kind of the process, and we don't have a concrete plan yet, but we have talked through the process of shifting the teachers out of the existing classrooms into the new ones. The bigger conversation is probably the movement that creates in the elementary and the cleaning and painting of the classrooms as teachers are shifting and moving. So that could be kind of a summer-long process. Well, we're still kind of working through that to see how that will look. But other than that, last bit to happen will be the lockers scheduled in June.
Yeah.
And we'll be ready to roll. NASB monthly newsletter is attached, and the NERCSA membership one is also attached there. And then I just have an overview of the meeting that Tammy Clausen, who's helping us out, and Mrs. Arp and I had with our auditors who came 2 weeks ago. So what we talked through was the information that's presented to the board as financials. We would like to improve that, have better quality of information put in front of the board. So we're working on the process of getting through that. It looks like now eFinance, the latest version, and just learning the ins and outs of it, we can complete a reconciliation process with the general ledger through that. Whereas before that did not appear to be possible. So we're getting all those cleaned up. And when we wrap up this school year, June is the target to kind of improve the information that's in front of you, because right now we're still waiting for eFinance to go through and clear out some checks that didn't belong there, some voided checks as the reconciliation process happened. Some things now have popped up that should have, had we been able to reconcile, had we reconciled completely through eFinance, would have been cleared earlier. So we're working through that, and once we get all of that cleaned up and matched up, number one, the audit will probably be a smoother process next year. Number two, we'll have better information to be able to get in front of the board. We'll have a meeting with the finance committee before we change what the board financials look like, that to go through that process. We had a couple of conversations with her also about some of the negative balance accounts or the class of accounts and things like that within the activities account. So some ways to manage those. And then finally, we talked a little bit about the purpose of having a general fund checking account and sweep account right now when they're both bearing the same interest rate. So why are we sweeping back and forth?
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk with them probably when we get all this cleaned up too, and find out if that's going to change. Sweep used to have a better interest rate, and so it made sense. But as of right now, it's not making sense. So
Sure.
the meeting went really, really well. It felt like we had a good handle on the way we were approaching the tasks. Lots of support coming from Jen Sheets there, and Brenda at Chapel Navarrete, and Tammy's been wonderful to work with. And they went to the ESU again last week. Tammy and Jennifer did to work through a few more things, but it's going really well. We have NASBO coming up too at the end of the month. So it is a conference for the Nebraska Association of School Business Officials. So
Okay.
it will have some sessions on budget, some sessions on like our insurances, some sessions on like FMLA and Fair Labor Standards Act and things like that. So it'll just be a good opportunity to learn even more.
That's an acronym, one new acronym that I haven't heard yet. Is that
NASBO,
something that
yep.
we have typically attended or?
They didn't have it last year.
Okay,
It was all
sure.
virtually. And the year before that, they had to cancel everything too.
Yeah.
I had attended it in the past when I was shared between Arnold and Callaway. But
Okay.
since I've been here, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. That's
Other than virtually. So.
okay.
And Mrs. Christensen and Mrs. Morgan and I had our title review, which is the Department of Education sent Dotson and Anna out to go through. Really great. It took about an hour to go through all the questions, the Title I and Title IIA funds. The only, not even findings, but suggestions. Right now, we needed to hold our title parent meeting. Didn't have it last year because of COVID and we couldn't bring people in. This year, it's been kind of accomplished in different ways, but we're required now, and we will hold And I think we've got that scheduled already. I think Jennifer scheduled it as soon as we got done. Or Mrs. Christensen with the review. So we'll hold our annual title parent meeting and changing, there's a little thing that needs to be changed on our time and effort logs. So anytime you're paying someone with federal funds, they have to keep that time and effort log so they know that you're working the amount of time in that federal program that you say you are. So that went well. Did I miss anything on that one? No. All right.
All right. Real good. Any questions for Dr. Lewis before we move forward into committee reports? No? Okay, we have two committee reports. We have Buildings and Grounds and Finance Committee. Mr. Shear, right? Chair of the Buildings and Grounds.
Yeah, we met last Wednesday and basically went over the list because we haven't, my computer just went dead. We haven't had a meeting for quite some time, but went through, prioritized again, and on some things. The biggest thing that probably has the most urgency or attention is probably the fuel tank again was brought back up again. Other than that, we did a walk around, looked at the concrete and stuff that needs to be fixed, and Lawrence brought up some other things that got some attention. But
Talk a little more about that parking lot.
yeah, we talked about parking and the parking lot
And we know that's a
over by the
so
football
priority to
field.
Continue the conversation. We walked through the kitchen. We have some money that we have to spend before the end of the fiscal year in the kitchen with the hot lunch fund, so we can walk through there and take a look at walk through the walk-in coolers and the
Walk-in coolers, yeah.
serving lines and things like that.
Is
And
that
a
gonna
lot
be
of the
summer
things,
project, probably?
yeah, probably a summer project, yeah, and I have to get with Julie and she had a nice vacation and now she's back, so I don't wanna rush her into it, but we need to visit about what we want to spend those on. A lot of things came off of the summative needs list with project, the replacement, FCS kitchen, all kinds of things like that kind of dropped off because of the building projects. We accomplished a lot with that. Even those bathrooms were on the summative needs list. So
Right.
that had, 2 toilets in one stall. So that's fixed.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the update on the fuel barrels?
We had to pay a $50 application fee to get them to come out and talk to us. And then since then, Dan Douglas reached out. Now that we do not have access to diesel in our community, it seems like there might be some desire to cooperatively do something with this fuel tank for the village and for emergency response. And Jen and I also did a little bit of research on the actual Shell station, and so I don't want to speak out of turn, and it maybe is something that he doesn't. It sounds like he's hopeful. The previous owner of Shell sounds hopeful that perhaps we will have that functioning and open again in the fall. So he's hoping that we will have diesel and to purchase in the fall, but we're moving forward with also continuing. So hopefully the fire marshal receives the
The fire marshal, I did receive the email that the fire marshal did receive the application and is reviewing it at this time, so now we just have to wait for the approval of the application, and then we need to find somebody to do the fuel tank and all that kind of stuff, so that's where that's
And we've
at.
already got the bids and
Yeah.
stuff already
Yeah, we have
for
that.
fuel tanks. and
That's a funny thing, we
whatnot,
had to collect the bids and do this, but in order to file the application, you have to choose somebody, but we're not really gonna choose anybody until that upgrade comes out, so.
The bureaucracy in the fuel barrels, just, yeah.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
is. It's the underbelly of.
The underbelly of the fuel world.
The nice thing about this is the fire department and the village has reached out and would like to do a joint venture, and
Yeah, I haven't heard from the village yet, but emergency.
yeah, so
And,
that
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah, keep working on it. Finance committee, we met at 6 o'clock today, right before the meeting started, and reviewed the building budgets. That's a action item later on. The finance committee is going to recommend that the board pass said building budgets. That was the extent of our meeting. Unfinished business, item 8.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve the superintendent contract addendum for 2022-2023 as present. The contract is attached here. It has been posted on our website for the legally required period of, I believe, 30 days.
Yes.
So we, negotiations reviewed this last month's board meeting, I believe, and it's been posted since. So if there are no further questions about it, I'd entertain a motion to approve the superintendent contract addendum.
I'll make a motion to approve the addendum to superintendent contract for salary to be $156,060 for 2022 to 2023.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
When you figure the percentage increase, is that with, is that just salary?
And then,
It is benefits? Okay,
Yeah, I think that, yeah, the whole package.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Seeing no more, let's vote, please.
All right. Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Bruce Shear,
Yes.
Janet Warner,
yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Oak,
Yes.
Chase Cradlock.
Yes.
All right, very good. Motion carries, brings us all the way into new business. Item 9.1, discuss, consider, and approve forming an ad hoc committee for enrollment trends and strategies. This was, came out of the discussion from our special board meeting that we had to establish an ad hoc committee to look at the enrollment numbers, discuss option, further understand it, create a strategy going forward. We can put up to 3 board members on there, and there was also discussion about making sure that the admin team was on that as well. You know, I'd like to, obviously Chase is really passionate about this, so I think it's natural that Chase be on that committee. And I'd like to toss out there that Jason and Shannon also make up that committee if they're willing to. We've got 2 board members who are not going to be on the ticket next fall. So I think, you know, it's here because this work will carry over in the next year as well. And if you're not interested, Shannon, or if it's too much, speak freely and I'll jump on there.
I was in favor of doing it, so absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I don't think we need to do we need to take action here to form this committee?
I think just to,
Name the members or,
no, I think just, yeah, I think that's what we all need to do.
okay.
I don't think that we need to vote to have it, you know, just a call.
Right. All right. So we'll appoint this ad hoc committee with Jason Arp, Chase Cradaville, and Shannon Wilmot. Thank you guys for volunteering. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, wasn't that big a deal?
And,
We appreciate it.
all right. So that brings us into our policies. The 5,000 series of policies. Dr. Lewis, do you have anything you want to pull out of here and look at, or?
Honestly, as I read
Anyone
through
else?
them, no, I kind of cleaned up a couple of things. So if anyone noticed where a district name was missing, or there was, there were a couple of grammar things that I fixed too. But other than that, most of these again came from our attorneys and things like that. So
Okay. Anybody else see anything you want to pull out discussing these?
Mr. Finks, I had a quick question. Do you get many parents that ever call or upset about military recruiters calling their households at all? Do you guys ever get those phone calls? Okay, I was just curious. I was reading through the policy and it just made me just think of, you know, how much they actually, do they call parents or households? And I was just curious. The policy just made me think of it.
they come here,
Yeah.
like they set up in the lunchroom and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten a call about the Stella getting recruited. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't look like military material.
I was just curious, yeah.
But yeah, they definitely visit with the kids here, and it's voluntary too.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, we have COVID put a pause on things and people being here. So this year is kind of the first that we've had people back. I'm just picturing the back of our cafeteria before COVID shut down. I don't remember getting calls with parents concerned about that.
Gotcha. No, just curious.
Some of the kids get really excited when they go over and they visit with them, so it's a good thing to have them.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good to know. Good question.
Okay. So our final item on the agenda tonight is to review and take necessary action to approve the building level budget request. Does everybody have a hard copy here?
You should have paper in front of your spot too. The elementary one has not changed since they were attached last week. Mr. Pinkston and I had a chance to review the secondary ones a little bit more in depth today. So there's a few changes to that. If you take a look at elementary size, just slight overall increases. Some classrooms are down a little bit and some are up just a little bit, for a grand total increase of $699.19. Let's just say $700. So 1% increase there. And then for the secondary, which is grades 7 through 12 and the things that encompass there, some things were down, some classrooms were up slightly, but some of them were down quite a bit due to things like English language arts adoption, requiring that goes into like a different pool. We've been talking about that curriculum replacement, so therefore they didn't have to order consumables, or we didn't need to order a lot of supplies for the kitchen because we got all new supplies last year, things like that. So overall, the big picture of the secondary budget is down by 12%. The requests there. We had some good questions came up in our committee meeting, like where's this fit into the big picture of the budget? So right now I've got salaries, I've got benefits, we know what those are going to cost us, so we're starting to put those in. This is kind of like the second step of the big budget spreadsheet that we keep, so we can start putting now, once these are approved, we put these into the budget. So we kind of as we get closer and closer to July, where the bulk of the budget work happens, these small steps kind of get us a little bit closer to our target numbers and things like that. And I'll have some district level numbers, a spreadsheet like this probably the next month, so we can look at the areas that impact the entire district. These impact each separate building, so there'll be some curriculum, some PD, some things like that, some subscriptions that impact the entire building. Will come before you next month for the district to approve on those.
Okay. Questions or comments from anybody else in the committee, or questions from the rest of the board about the building budgets? It's always, we do this every year and look at it. I mean, as a board as a whole and the finance committee too, and it's always pretty incredible that we can do everything we can do for this relatively, in the big picture of our budget, it's a small number, and it very seldom goes up year over year. And I think that it's just a pretty outstanding job of keeping that cleaned up and keeping it from increasing. So.
And through the year too, this is a not to exceed number. If we can find some of the things that the teachers are asking for or hoping for at a lesser price, we'll buy them for a lesser price as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the building level budget request.
I second that.
You want to start by making the motion?
Oh, yeah, I thought you did.
No, you got the motion.
Okay.
You're up.
I would make motion to approve the 22-23 building level budget requests.
I'll second.
Okay, good. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Janet. Shannon, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote, please.
Jason Earl,
Yes.
Chase Craddock,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Bruce Shear,
Yes.
Janet Warner,
Yep.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
All right, very good. Motion carries. We have nothing for executive session, so let's adjourn at 7:49, please.
You guys picked a good meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
Really have to come back. Thanks for the efficient meeting,
Because they're
everyone.
not like this all the time.
Oh, procrastination pays off.